Alright, YouTube. I'm Z the Gladiator, and we got Mark the Shark here, and we're about to get into a deck profile for the newest archetype of Dark that I know of, Archfiends.
Fuck them.
Alright then, let's get into it.
Let's go.
First off, we got the face card and the boss monster. 3 Archfiend Emperor.
Oh, garbage.
The first Lord of Horror.
Garbage.
If you don't know what he does, he can normal summon himself without tribute, but his stats are halved, and he's destroyed during the end phase. He has another effect that's continuous. While he's out, you can't special summon anything except for fiend monsters. And then his last effect is like High Priestess of the Prophecies. Banish one. Oh, wait, only difference is you banish one Archfiend card, not just monster. Archfiend card from your grave or hand, and you can pop one card on the field. Next up, we got 2 Archfiend of Gilfer.
How does 2 run?
2 runs fairly decent. I mean, his main purpose is to combo with my Trans Archfiend or my Foolish Burial if I need to like beat over something that's really big.
Would you consider dropping it down to 1?
Really? For now, I'm really playtesting him because I don't think he's really that necessary. We got 3 Archfiend Cavalry. This guy right here, he'll set you up so well. Like, say you summon him, and then you just like, you set like a torrential. Your opponent summons something, and then boom, he dies. If you have your boss monster out in your grave, he brings him right back. The only stipulation is that it can't attack during the turn that it's special summoned. And that's the card you special summon with Cavalry. We got next 2 Trans Archfiends. With your boss monster banishing your Archfiend cards, maybe your monsters, you're gonna need to get them back at some point. So when he dies, he lets you bring those back. Plus, he combos well with your Archfiend of Gilfer, because Archfiend of Gilfer says when it's sent to the grave as a card effect, or actually when it's sent to the grave and that's the last thing that happens, he can self-equip himself to some monster on the field. And because this card is an effect, plus it gains the 500, and those are considered simultaneous, you get this effect off immediately. Ooh. Next up, we got the 2 tour guides.
Tour bitch.
That everybody knows about. She's pretty blatant. There's no explanation for her whatsoever. We got 3 Archfiend Hares. This is your main and probably best searcher in the entire deck. She can stretch out any Archfiend card that you have in your deck. And that's when she's sent to the graveyard because of a card effect, or if she's destroyed by battle. Next up, we got the last monster, Tour Bus from the Underworld.
Tour bitch number 2.
Now, I haven't seen her played in like several months to like maybe 2 formats. But this card's actually pretty good in this deck with your tour guide. And I'll explain that after I get into the extra deck. Next up, we got the spells. Double Advanced Draw. This card is in here mainly because, I mean, if you summon out your Archfiend Emperor, he's gonna die at the end phase. Unless you have a way to save him again, you're gonna want to get rid of him so you can +2.
Makes sense.
Allure of Darkness.
Draw power.
Yeah, draw power.
Nothing to be said about that.
Well, actually, no. Draw power and the fact that, I mean, you're running Trans Archfiend, so it's no problem getting back your Dark monsters.
Yeah.
3 Archfiend Palabyrinth. Because it's a 500 boost, it's a special summon from anywhere in play, and it's fodder for your boss monster. 1 Book of Moon. I'm testing this out, but I don't know exactly what's put in just yet. 1 Dark
Burial.
Hole.
Burial from a different dimension. Test that out.
I'll see about that. Dark World Lightning. I mean, this format is going to be a whole bunch of back row cards. And some of them they might not be able to activate. Some of them they might. So you use this card to pretty much bait them out and make plays with your heirs or your tour bus. Because this card opens them up perfectly. We got one Foolish Burial. Because it's Foolish Burial and Monster Effects Plus engraved, so there's nothing more that needs to be said. 2 MST. 2 Potted Duality. With the fact that this deck is slow, you might as well run Duality because you're not always going to be special summoning on your turn. On to the traps. 2 Call the Haunted.
That's going to be the replacement for Monster Reborn.
For this format.
Yeah.
3 Generation Shift. Now, this is a real old card, and I discovered it by looking online. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain it. It pretty much targets one of your face-up monsters, and then at the resolution it destroys it, and you can add a copy of that monster from your deck to your hand. Now, the main reason why I run this card is for... Where's he at? Archfiend Cavalry. Like I was saying earlier, if he dies, he's an if effect, so his effect is going to go off regardless. If he dies, I get this card, add a copy of him to my hand, and then I can special summon this or any other Archfiend from my grave. As long as it's not him himself. So, it works. 1 level conversion lab. I'm testing this out, and it's one of those chance cards. You just question if you need it or not. It's good because when you're running like a first turn play or like a second turn play or so, and you have your Archfiend Emperor in your hand, just activate this, reveal the monster, roll the die, and you gotta go from there. If it's a 5 or 6, you'd have to sack something. If it's a 2, 3, or 4, I mean, you just got a 3,000 beat stick for free. And if it's a 1, I mean, you didn't really... It says you send this to the grave, but you really don't lose anything. You just set yourself up for later. We got 1 Puzzle Reborn. Because you run Generation Shift, and you run your boss monster. So if he's summoned, like, mid-game, and you have this set, you just get him right back. And then last, I've got 2 Waboku. Yeah, Waboku is so-so, but it slows your opponent down and makes sure they can't like attack over your monsters or attack you directly for game.
I think that and Threat and Roar make a comeback.
Both of them?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Stall decks at least. maybe in some other decks.
Alright. For the extra deck we have 1 number 49, Fortune Tune. This card can just help you sit on the board for no good reason. It's a wall. It's like next to none.
And it's like Solemn Wishes. You know, during each of your standby phase, you gain 500. So it's like Solemn Wishes.
Can I explain, please?
Oh, my bad, dog.
Calm down. All right. It requires 2 level 3 monsters. During each of your standby phases, like he said, you gain 500 like Solemn Wishes. But when it would be destroyed, it has to... You can detach, which also combos well with your Arius or your Tour Bus. And then this card itself cannot be targeted by any card effects. Now, the drawback is Dark Hole will work, Super Poly.
No, can't be targeted. Sorry, doesn't target. Torrential.
Yeah, Torrential. Compulse.
Solemn Warning.
Pretty much, it makes it so that your opponent has to mass in order to get over this one card. Like Mass Negate, Mass Destroy.
Yeah.
And then its last effect is when it dies, it targets itself. Wait, no, yeah. You target 2 level 3 monsters in your grave, and you shuffle in this card, and you shuffle them both into the deck, and then this card returns to your extra deck in order to recycle itself. So pretty much, you get your tour guide. Like you go tour guide.
Tour guide Harris.
Yeah, you go tour guide, Harris. Overlay, boom. They die. Pretty much it just sends itself back in tour guide, and Harris or any other level 3 goes back into your deck. So it recycles your tour guide for that play. Next we got 1 Mellow Brass Daijin. Because your field spell gives it 500 and it can make itself a double attacker. You can't ask for much more than that. We have 1 Muzu Rhythm, the String Daijin. Your field spell makes this card pretty much a 2000 beat stick. And then when you couple it with its own effect, it makes it a 4K.
Damn!
So it can tussle with Obelisk and not care. Next up we got 1 Wind-Ups and Mains. Standard card. I mean,
when you run a bunch of 3s.
Yeah. And I mean it pops 1. It's just a bigger shield if you need one in case of number 49 failing you. 1 Tempo. Because you're still gonna want a beat stick. And if your opponent runs a lot of exceeds that are annoying, you don't want to detach those.
Goofy out.
1 Leviair for your Trans Archfiend plays. 1 Giga Brilliant, just because you might want to pump something up.
Pump up the Archfiend guy.
Oh yeah. 1 number 17, just because he needs, just because I need level 3. 1 Acid Golem. Normally he'd be bad, but I don't go into him a lot just cause I have my boss monster, so it doesn't really matter. Now, if I need to get over something and I can't get out my boss monster, he's alive. Plus his first effect of detach or take 2000 damage is still feasible, but when you detach with that effect, you can get off Harris's effect. So it's kind of win-win. It just depends on how you play it. Next up, we got 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. Because if your opponent just wants to special and special, you're gonna book that stuff. He's a walking Book of Moon, pretty much. 1 Evil Swarm Thanatos. Because with your field spell, he's a 2850 beater, and if your opponent tries to use some monster effect on him or whatever, just detach and he's unaffected. And then last we have 1 Gemnite Pearl. Beat stick power is enough spoken for him.
Hell yeah.
And YouTube, Z the Gladiator,
Mark the Shark.
and that's been my Archfiend deck profile. Peace.
Later.